I'm sorry, that thing went a bit longer than usual. Good evening, everybody. We are really sorry for that. We're trying a lot of new things today on the Armchair. Welcome, as always. We've got a really interesting show for you today, guys. I'm joined once again by Avi. Avi, how are you?
I'm fine, G. How are you?
I'm a bit shell-shocked now that video repeated twice. Don't know why that happened. But
I
never mind.
was as well. I was wondering why that was happening. I was like, are we in the show? What happened?
Never mind. We have a bit of a shaky start to the video today, but we've got a fantastic show. Yes, we listen to you guys lah. Everyone knows that the biggest news of maybe the past month, maybe even this season lah, has been the revamp that is coming for next season. So, we don't mess around here. We wanted to get the man in the know, the man with all the information. But, before we bring him on, we've got something else that's a bit new. So, the eagle-eyed among you may notice that there's something small on the bottom right of your screen. So, we've got a sponsor. Yes, we are making it big. We're making it big. Exactly. So, all right. So, our sponsor is the Glass Duty. Yes, the Glass Duty. Okay. Let me kind of educate everyone what this is. All right. So, the Glass Duty is, for no better kind of description, traditional Punjabi shoes. Okay. The shoes that you see in all your favorite Bollywood films, right? And we are being sponsored by the Glass Duty. Okay. An online business that brings you the best. Okay, the very best quality traditional, jutis straight from the artisans of India lah. Okay, so Glass Duty is obviously based on the glass slipper from Cinderella, and just like Cinderella, these jutis come in the most magical fashions, that you can see. It's the perfect gift for you if you like to wear jutis, for your wife, for your girlfriend, for your mom, your sister. If you like a girl and you want to make her your girlfriend, this is a perfect thing for you lah. Okay, so as you can see, we are replaying this ad a bit, just to show you over and over again what's going on. But to find out more, to book yours, very simple. It's an online business. Just head to Instagram. Wait, did it? Why did it skip that part? See, again, we're not professionals here. Okay. Yeah,
Since
Instagram.
It's our first sponsored post, so we're still learning.
Yeah. We're learning a bit. Please forgive us. There you go. The Glass Duty. That is the full stop Glass Duty on Instagram. Hopefully, they still sponsor us after this rubbish ad. But there you go lah. Okay. The ad is done. But we are not done. We're just getting started. We are so happy to welcome Stuart Ramalingam, the CEO of MFL. Stuart, how are you doing? I think you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted. Finally, sorry.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure being here. I should have asked for Glass Duty as a payment for parent. But definitely, congratulations, guys. Highly impressed that the sponsor has taken a thought. Thanks for having me.
We have to do our own marketing as well to sustain.
We have to do our own marketing. Yeah, so Avi, let's get started with the questions, when we have so many questions today.
Yeah, I mean, everybody is talking about the revamp, and we are excited. Lots of people in the football fraternity are excited about it. So my first question is, Stuart, when I met you last year, this was a one-on-one interview with the Star. You showed me the revamp deck, and I got really excited, and I always said we should break this story, and you said, no, wait, I need to speak to the executive members and then get the approval and so on. So the revamp was pretty drastic. When I saw the deck, I was like, okay, 18 teams and then, 9 foreigners, a lot of changes, and then the introduction of a feeder league, the kickoff times that are totally different. So, how did you convince the executive members to agree to it? Because I'm sure, boardroom politics, you have lots of things that needs to be ironed out and so on. So how that went?
Very relevant question, Vinesh. I think there was a few steps that was taken. I'm glad that I shared with you. You were one of those that I kind of picked on your thoughts as I was thinking, as we were researching all this data. Vinesh was there during the extraordinary partners meeting that we had the other day, and I ran through as well the slides that was presented to all the clubs, which was 70 plus slides. This was also to show that everything that we proposed came with background, facts, information, research, conversation, data that substantiated the plans that was being put together. The process took a while. Obviously, we had a conversation sometime last year, early this year. And one of the things that we needed to do was to ensure that we followed the right protocols, to respect the levels of authority within the decision making of such a big decision. We consulted FAM first. FAM, based on our jurisdiction, we need to get FAM's consent and endorsement to ensure that the restructure is accepted. We went through that process. It took a while, also because we seek for advice and opinions from the technical experts in FAM, the objections and the opinions of different units, from legal units to national team units, because increasing the number of teams in a league means lesser training time, lesser unofficial match days for FAM as well, in a very important year next year. So it was a number of things that we had to get through. I'm very glad that we got unanimous support from FAM in terms of the restructure. We were very happy that FAM came behind, because the ecosystem revamp also included a lot of youth competitions improvements as well, which we'll probably go through sometime during this interview. Having completed the FAM proposal, we also got the buy-in from the MFL board at 2 stages prior to it going to FAM, and even after coming back from FAM, to ensure that the MFL board in itself gives its full support and buy-in as well. And I have to say that Gani, the president of MFL, was fully behind all of this, and I'm very thankful for his support, and also the president at FAM, Dato' Amidin, who was very, very, very supportive of the changes and the impact of the changes for the structure of football. We brought that then last Wednesday to the clubs, and I'm glad to say that everything was approved on a policy level. Obviously, we split the decision into policy decision making first, and then down to operational execution. If you try to mix both, you get a bit flustered sometimes. So yeah, we are where we are in this interview because of the approvals that we got, and that was the process.
I'm going to ask you a cheeky question here right now. Did anyone stop your feed and you had to spontaneously react by kicking or whatsoever during the meeting zone? Like, I'm sure there would be someone, uttering the disagreements and so on. So
No,
did that happen?
I worked the room in terms of from early this year. I met every CEO, right? Every CEO of every club I met to ensure I listen and hear the different objectives and direction of each club. Each club in Malaysia, you have in the Premier League, you will have a Manchester City and a Brentford. In Malaysia, you will have a JDT, Terengganu, Kedah, Selangor. You will have a lower team. You will have a mid-table team. And in the entire restructure, it's a big restructure. You've seen it, Avinesh, Logan. I'm sure you've read about it, and you will see more of it as we go along. Every point is influences a club and its club objectives. So here you will never get maybe a 100% buy-in for every change. But what we got is that we got support from every CEO that this is something needed. It's a necessary means to taking that step forward, where the league structure, the improvement of how we deliver the product in itself, we're moving from this entire FA structure to this FC structure. The demands of modern professional commercial football has evolved in leaps and bounds over the last few years, and we in MFL and as Malaysian football industry, we have to be brave to take that step forward. Obviously, there were some opinions shared during the meeting as well, but we're glad we got through. The responsibility of MFL is to also hold the hands of football clubs through the changes. It's obviously a very scary change. It's scary for us, even for such a big picture change to be executed in a very short space of time. But as concerned as the clubs are, we are as well, in terms of making sure that everything that has been approved is delivered in the most stable context as possible, because the plans are meant to strengthen the industry and not destabilize it.
As we all know, for any league to function, you need the players. Players are really important. They're essential to any football organization or league. So, how many players did you consult with regards to the revamp? What was the response like? Maybe you can share the good and the bad told by them in terms of those, discussions with them.
I've spoke to a couple of current and but a lot of ex-players, and the opinions shared are concerns in terms of financial stability of clubs. Players want to play football. The more games, the more competitive games. They obviously are not majorly concerned by the number of matches. They understand that the league number of matches, because there are teams that really play till the end of the season, reach Malaysia Cup semi-finals, finals, FA Cup, play in Champions League, play in AFC Cup, and also that those teams really get high volume matches. And you got the mid and the lower tier teams that don't really get enough matches, and these players want to play. The concerns are things that are outside of their control in terms of financial stability, commercialization, monetization of these additional costs and that is going to be incurred by teams. But they generally support, especially the introduction of the reserve leagues, the additional number of matches for Bali and President. These are very important changes that are probably not getting highlighted as much as it should, because fundamentally this is fixing the base of number of matches for youth competitions, and that's, I believe, receives a lot of positive support by internal stakeholders that we've spoken to. Concerns generally things that are out of the control of players.
Thanks.
Stuart, if I can, maybe the first question that we got from one of our viewers on Twitter. So, tiada penyingkiran, bagaimana dengan pasukan yang ada masalah tunggakan gaji, masalah pentadbiran? Is there no exit policy? And in his words, he said, kekal membawa bangkai hidup dalam liga. Leave it to you to answer in Malay or English.
That's
no
a very
worries, but
big question. I mean, the last
Yeah.
sentence
Yeah.
is wow, impactful, man.
Yeah, I think I've stated this the second time in the last 2 days. This is going to be the third. Malaysian football has gone through FA to FC transition over the last 2 years, and you've got to give credit to the teams from 2 years of pandemic. So the FA to FC structure, when I took over in FAM in 2018, we had 232 cases, I believe, at that point. And today, if you check with FAM's legal unit, they will tell you they have less than 10 active cases that have been decided of non-payment of salaries. 10 active cases, 2 FIFA cases, and that's it. Before, we had numerous football clubs that have gone through the carrot and stick exercises in FAM and MFL, where there were points deducted from Penang, Kelantan, PDRM, Melaka, I think
Perak.
Perak. Yeah, that's the fourth one I was missing. Yeah, you would know. And where are they today? Penang, Kelantan, Perak, PDRM are stable football clubs today. So whilst there may be, and I said that this was the only way I could explain it, and I apologize to repeat it. We have a wound in Malaysian football about that big in 2018, right? The amount of payment is salary issues. Today the wound is about that small, right? And is there a wound? Yes, there is still, right? But is it getting better? Are we improving? Yes, definitely. Yeah. So we will get to a point where we hope that through the licensing exercises, through the stick and carrot practices of the licensing body, we will get to a point where we are able to get out of this stigma and this practice. Whilst we always criticize the non-payment of salaries to be an issue in our league, we also must give credit to the other teams that have got themselves through a pandemic of 2 years with not closing shop and not really affecting the overall operations of the club. So I think we are where we are as an industry. We are secondary industry to the impact of the entire national economy, and we have to give credit where credit is due. Yes, there is a couple of clubs probably still struggling with salary issues, but we also let's not forget there's also 16 other clubs that are doing very well, and it's very unfair that the stigma is then scattered across very, very professional clubs that have conducted themselves with credit. MFL is going to do better to ensure that we are able to have a zero salary issue in the coming years, but we will work hard, and it's been working. It's been working. So I seek patience and understanding that we will get through this.
Okay, you mentioned about clubs not closing shops here, being able to sustain during this period of time, especially during the pandemic period. But with a revamped league, there will be also talks about the number of games, and players would come in and say, "Look, we're going to play this amount of games, so the wages must be higher." When clubs are thinking about sustainability, cutting costs, and so on. So, I mean, that thought, that idea, has it been mooted by clubs? Has it been mooted by PFAM? What has been the talks like and all that in terms of, players, which is the number of games like?
I think one of the dilemmas is that contracts are signed and salaries are confirmed. The number of matches that you play is based on the competition structure that is offered from the league, the commercial model of the league. Let's also take horse before cart. There is also a need for us to upscale, monetize the opportunity of the additional matches. I think it's a too early conversation for us to be starting to consider additional salaries for matches, because I think clubs need to survive. Players, I believe they're not greedy. I believe players understand their football clubs and the direction that each club is trying to get to. Every club in the structure, the 18 teams that we speak about, have different objectives. Whether it's lower tier teams, mid-table teams, and the higher end teams, they all have different objectives through their season. And I believe that the players will play a big part in ensuring that the adoption of this bigger league structure will be smooth and accepted in the most amicable manner between club and players.
You mentioned about income, increased number of games, there will be revenue and so on. And it's what we want to see from all the clubs in Malaysia. We know that MFL is going to conduct workshops for clubs in terms of this revamp. So I'm sure that is one of the points that would be discussed. So will revenue and expenditure be a salient part of it? And could there be a caveat on implementing the economic control program one day? I mean, you did say that in 2024, you're going to talk about it, but will it be implemented? I know you did say that, La Liga is different, the Malaysian Super League is different, but at the same time, we want clubs to be financially responsible. So, the ECP, how crucial is that?
That was one of the requests from one of the CEOs during the extraordinary meeting, is for MFL to conduct workshops to guide the clubs through the change. It's a scary change for anyone. We're 7 months ahead of the kickoff of the league next season. And these are areas that we will work through with the club. So that's fundamentally, hopefully we can do all of those workshops by the end of August to give a good runway for clubs to get into next season. Monetization is a different component based on clubs with big fan bases, clubs with very small or no fan bases. Those are the areas that professional football demands today, for us to work on not merely a football team, but also the improvement of ourselves as a football club, where we engage with partners and sponsors, monetize the opportunity in the game, and build a strong and sticky fan base for the business of football. So we hope that the additional matches and the very more attractive fixtures that we'll have next season will be the opportunities that the clubs will use to monetize these additional matches. Yes, there is a cost, but we do emphasize there is also the opportunities of that additional matches. So we hope that that monetization workshops we will work through with the clubs later in August.
So the workshops will be held in August. Will there be one for the media?
Most definitely. I think media engagement, we will probably towards the end of the year. We have obviously internally, as we relaunch a new league model, then we'll work on the presentation of the new league brand. Liga Super will always remain. I'm quite sentimental to the name. I believe it's our brand, Liga Super Malaysia, and we should always maintain it. But the delivery of the brand through TV, through content, through social needs to improve as well. So we'll definitely work on that. And as soon as we have that, we'll definitely engage the media a little better as well.
Okay, the feeder league is something that I'm very happy to see actually, because we're giving a chance to under 23 players to have game time and so on. But at the same time, in Malaysia this season we only have four clubs having a feeder team. No, sorry, three clubs and one project of FMMSN. So now all these clubs they will need to have these feeder teams. Do you think they would be able to cope with the extra costs?
The
I
feeder
mean,
team, the feeder team is an upgrade of the President Cup. All teams have a President Cup team. Yeah, so fundamentally, the graduates of the President Cup will become the reserve team. Yeah, so it's a lending of the President Cup players currently. The Belia boys will become the President Cup players, and the new existing team, if a club is to create one, it is at the Belia stage, right? So you're actually creating a young team, and the reserve league team is only an upgrade of the president. So they don't need to look for new boys. They already got that in the stable. Now they are able to put the reserve team together. We're not asking a team to be set up next week. We have timelines and a direction next year. We hope that we will work with the clubs on the delivery of the reserve league. Is the reserve league something that we need? In the conversations that we have had, as presented by Dato' Ong Kim Swee, the FAM TD at that time, the reserve league is fundamentally needed in our system only because the gap between under 21 and the Super League or Premier League is just too large a jump. And because of that, we are losing a lot of talent from playing minutes and even from just a late blooming talent pool. So the inclusion of a reserve league doesn't increase the value of MFL. We don't make money from even the Premier League. So the inclusion of the reserve league is really a development tool to improve the competitiveness of our Super League. It's a cost to MFL. It will be a cost to the teams, but it does improve the top tier product that we do monetize. So we hope that the clubs use that opportunity of the under 23. Again, the under 23 league doesn't mean only under 23 players play. It's the best 19-year-old, the best 21-year-old, the best 18-year-old. He might already be playing in the under 23s. So we hope that the clubs use that opportunity to prepare players for the Super League, and it's not merely a development league; it's a preparatory league as well.
Okay. Stuart, for the next segment, we've got a lot of questions surrounding the idea of having imports in, the reserve league. So, I mean, two of them here, I'm just going to highlight. Kenapa ada kota import kat Liga Simpanan? Okay, and another one here, same thing, apa keperluan pemain asing untuk Liga Simpanan? Dan yang utama, I will get into this later, the scheduling, but let's tackle the import issue first. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, thanks, Aiman, I believe, right? The previous question from
Iman, sorry.
Iman. Hello, Iman. Thank you for the question. Kota pemain import dalam Liga Simpanan, sebagaimana saya katakan tadi, daripada jarak Liga bawah 21, sekarang liganya Liga bawah 23. Liga bawah 23 ni perlulah ada rumusan baru untuk diterapkan di dalam Liga bawah 23 untuk persiapan pemain-pemain ini dipanggil pada bila-bila masa untuk menyertai pasukan Liga Super. Daripada Liga 21, Under 21 League, apa perbezaan Liga bawah 23? Ya, sebab ini umur 23, bukan umur 18, bukan umur 19. This is a preparatory league. Tahun-tahun sebelum, kita ada kosong pemain bawah 23 sebagai kota di dalam Liga Premier ataupun Liga Super. Dengan penyediaan Liga Simpanan ni, kita akan menyediakan beratusan pemain bawah 23 yang dijamin minit-minit perlawanan. 500 lebih pemain akan didaftar, 30 pemain setiap pasukan, dan at any one time, pada setiap masa, ada 16 pemain atas padang yang akan berada pemain bawah 23. Why do we need the senior players? Bukan pemain import saja, tapi pemain lebih umur turun balik. Satu adalah untuk memastikan pemain import atau pemain overage yang mungkin injured atau tak cukup minit, atau you want to raise their competitiveness, you come down to play. Tetapi dengan adanya pemain lebih umur atau pemain import, dia akan menaikkan taraf Liga Simpanan kita, di mana pemain bawah 23 akan bersaing like a rehearsal untuk Liga Super. Ya, so bila dipanggil pada bila-bila masa, pemain ni akan bersaing di Liga Super. jangan kita lupakan juga pemain ini akan mewakili pasukan kebangsaan yang akan lawan UAE, Saudi, Jepun, Korea semua. Dan kita hanya bermain di bawah kita punya age group dan kita punya pemain-pemain tempatan dan tak ada penambahan daripada Liga bawah 21 sehingga bawah 23. Ini penambahan rumusan baru untuk menaikkan intensiti dan kualiti Liga Simpanan. Dan ini kita jangan lupa tidak wujud sebelum ini. Dan dengan wujudnya Liga Simpanan bermakna beratus pemain bawah 23 yang mungkin pada tahun ini kalau tak ada Liga Simpanan akan hilang daripada radar kita secara keseluruhan. So ini penambahbaikan dan jadi safety net kepada pemain kita dengan juga penaikan taraf Liga Simpanan kita. PJ City leading 1-0.
Yeah, Darren Lock scored. Logan, I think you're
sorry.
on mute.
I was busy coughing just now. I didn't want everyone to hear.
Yeah, okay. Ini jaminan keperluan pemain asing. I've just answered as well.
Yeah.
Do you want me to get into the jadual?
Yeah,
because we actually have.
Oh, you want to ask now?
We actually have another question that is related to that lah. You know, jadual Liga dan jadual Piala FA. He says setiap tahun macam ada tim tertentu yang untung lebih. So not sure how true this is.
He must be talking about Terengganu. Because Terengganu played home every leg. I mean the FA Cup penjadualan tahun ini memang boleh diperbaiki. We started the year in MCO. We started the year with 16 postponements, I believe, in the first 2 weeks. Negeri Sembilan, Pahang, then I think the opponents to Terengganu multiple times was postponed. Then we had the SEA Games call-up where we had to change the fixtures for Terengganu and Selangor. So we had multiple backlogs. This year also we ended up in November, December tahun lalu, we didn't know this. But only in early this year we knew that KL was awarded the host of AFC Cup. JDT was awarded the host of ACL, and that changes the fixtures because AFC requires the stadium 1 week before. You cannot use it, and then the preparation of the team. Selalunya priority MFL adalah untuk memberi kelonggaran dan priority keutamaan kepada pasukan-pasukan kelab Malaysia yang bertanding di peringkat Asia. Disebabkan persembahan baik kelab-kelab Malaysia di pertandingan-pertandingan AFC membuka pintu kepada semua pasukan Liga Malaysia bertanding dan bersaing di peringkat AFC. So we allowed certain postponements of game for KL, even for Kedah. I think Kedah was supposed to play JDT, but they needed to leave early to Bali. We managed to change that. JDT also consented to that changes. And it was an exercise we had to do, but without knowing that at the end of last year when the calendar was made. So obviously the domino effect of the number of changes has led us to where we are today. The changes in the single round FA Cup that we did this year is to compensate for the additional matches of national team yang ada. Kita host the AFC Asian Cup qualifiers in Malaysia disebabkan memerlukan tarikh latihan yang tambahan FAM. Kita menggadaikan format FA Cup kepada satu round of games, single round of games, and that is by luck of draw. I think you've seen the draw. It's by luck of draw. Do you get pulled away or at home? I think in this instance, there are teams that got multiple away games. There were teams that played all at home, and there was teams that played home or away. So I cannot justify that in terms of the opinion of a fan that maybe supporting a particular club that is playing away a number of times, but there are also fans that are happy that their team played at home for the entire every round of matches. So, but I just wanted to share that the calendar, we hope to improve that. We are already having conversations with FAM now. KPG Kim Bangun is looking into the calendars for the national team. We have 2 option calendars, option A, option B. If the Asian Cup is being hosted next year, in June, or if it moves to 2024. So we are already making 2 variable options. We're already in early discussions with FAM in terms of the format and the required training times needed for national teams and national under 23 assignments as well throughout the whole of next year. So we hope to do better. We don't have the pandemic to deal with, which is good, because the pandemic really hit us early in March.
So I mean that's really fantastic news about the scheduling. So I think we have so many questions coming in from YouTube that are live coming in. Guys, don't worry, we are going to get to you. But we also, because some of them are not really about the revamp, so we're going to kind of cover the revamp first. So give us some time, all right? We're going to get to you very quickly. The next one about the revamp is about the competitiveness. Now, obviously, everyone knows there is one team that is arguably head and shoulders above the rest. Lah. Okay. Now, having said that, how, like, when you look at the Premier League and how competitive they are, that's obviously a selling point. With this revamp of the league, is there a timeline where you see, on behalf of MFL, do you see that the other teams can close the gap? And can you really do anything about it? Or is it just kind of competitiveness?
Competitiveness is JDT, as we speak, you said heads and shoulders above the rest. JDT was not the dominant team 10 years ago.
Exactly.
JDT became the dominant team in the change of their strategy and their approach. And then JDT is JDT today, but JDT wasn't JDT 10 years ago, right? A club cannot buy success in terms of short-term and long-term. The investment of JDT into the infrastructure and into the philosophy of the club has made them that dominant force that we know of today. Does that help the commercial value of the league? Yes and no. We would like to see a competitiveness in the league structure, but does that define value? Because JDT brings its own value to the league. The JDT brings the attention, brings the viewership. It brings full stadiums when they play away. Yeah. So that adds the value to the entire industry. I hope the gap closes as we go into an 18-team league season. We also know that the supporting base. So we intended to samaratakan the undang-undang, which allowed a lot of compensation to 3 teams, not one team, Terengganu, Selangor, and JDT, utilizing the feeder club to substantiate their position in the Super League, in the cup competitions, and in any competition. Now it's an even playing field. The regulations are the same. The club's opportunities are the same. The spending power might be different, right? But we hope that the clubs use the opportunities well to monetize their fan base and catch up as they can over time. Will it happen in a year or two? Maybe. If a team has the right philosophy, the right coach, the right supporting management, that will take the club to the next level. And we hope that the gap between JDT and other clubs becomes smaller. And over time, I believe that will improve JDT as a football club in the Asian spectrum. If the league pushes them further, I believe they get better as well, and they open the doors for all other clubs to enter into the AFC space.
Right, exactly. Because
I just want to interject.
Yeah.
Will there be a timeline for that? I mean, based on MFL's look at things, how are things going on at the moment? Have you set a timeline for, maybe that, okay, look, we have got a revamp league, we have got a product already. So we want to see more teams being competitive, meaning to say that, you're not only selling it domestically, but that rivalry, you're selling it internationally as well, like what we're seeing in J League, K League, and everything. So is there a timeline for that? Sorry, Logan, to interject.
Hard to
No.
say, Logan and Avinash and everybody listening, competitiveness is on a match-to-match basis. I think the closest competition that JDT has had all year has been Malacca, right? And whether it's taking points away from them or last-minute goals needing to be scored. But where is Malacca in the standing, right? I think a fixture will define itself. I believe a league season defines itself from on a match-to-match basis. Everybody that plays JDT plays at 120%, right? And we hope that competitiveness, that aim to beat JDT, improves the strategy of football clubs as an entirety. Now they have a feeder team themselves. They also have the rule of 9 themselves, and they use that to their best of abilities.
Okay. So I'm just going to go back to another viewer question, this time from Amin lah, who's a very good friend of the show, always with a lot of very interesting questions. So he's asking, isn't it too sudden, the timeline, for the expansion next year to be announced in the middle of this year? And he points out that for the record, in the Saudi League expands, from 16 to 18 starting in 2023. It was announced this year, which means they have like one full season lah. So what are your thoughts on this?
Very true. I mean, I wish we had more time on our hands. One of the fundamental reasons why change is needed to be announced now is because our commercial broadcast contract ends this year. In the renegotiation of fundamentally a football league, the biggest revenue comes from broadcast, and then the smaller parcel of that comes from sponsorship. But the entire commercial package that we go to market with is a broadcast and is a competition format, right? So without a proper mandate on the competition format, it also weakens the position of the league to negotiate our position with broadcasters and even sponsors. So that's from a commercial perspective. From an industry perspective, please be aware, I came on board in September, but it's been tremendous work supporting support by the MFL board, by the FAM Exco, by the FAM Secretariat, to look through the necessary means to introducing this. Change is never easy. If you ask someone, they say, yeah, 7 months is a lot of time. But you ask somebody else, they say, yeah, no, I need 2 years, right? So timeline is subjective, depending on how you look at it. I'm very happy that today I saw Norizam post something about him making profit for the first time since he took over Kelantan this month. So hosting 2 home matches, I believe, has put him in the black. And these are the things that we want to see happen. The fundamental changes that is needed is something that is big. I agree. That will take some time of adjustment, but we are there. MFL is there to work closely with the football clubs to ensure that the concerns, the bigger impact of the change that is impacted by the clubs, a JDT's impact versus a UITM's impact is different. But we are there to ensure that the decisions that we made will not unstabilize the league.
Okay. Now, this question actually corresponds to one of the questions we had written down as well. Now, there's a lot of air quotes here. Can you ask his honest view behind the postponement of MPL for 2 years? Do we really need another semi-pro tier when we have Liga M3 running really smoothly at the moment?
Who was that from?
That's from Afiq Rudzi.
Hi, Afiq. Thank you. The postponement of Premier League comes on the back of a couple of realizations. The Malaysian professional league structure only contains 18 football clubs. No one else. Even 2 slot dekat Liga Premier ni nak diisikan dengan club professional mana? We do not have. AFL stands for Amateur Football League. Yeah. So M3 ni pada masa ini adalah club amateur. Right? Bukan club semi-pro. Apa maksud profesional? Apa maksud semi-pro? Bukan status kontrak, tetapi pengurusan, pentadbiran, pengelolaan, pemasaran klub tersebut. So there is a bigger constitution of what professional, semi-pro and amateur means. Part of the postponement of the Premier League is a hard reality that we do not have a professional club structure in Malaysia, walaupun bola sepak kita ni di negara Malaysia ni agak tua. Because we have always been a state-based football league. Dengan itu, tiada wujudnya more and more professional clubs coming through. We've always had, whether it's Simdabi, Felda, Felcra, MPPJ, Public Bank, coming through the system, falling out. Coming through the system, but ini lebih kepada company, right? So, part of the revamp is postponement M2 ni. Adakah M2 ni penting? Fundamentally is what the entire professional structure needs, because antara reality yang kita rujuk dalam revamp proposal ni adalah 2 liga di mana J-League dan K-League dijadikan rujukan. K2 semi-pro 30 tahun sebelum dijadikan professional selepas K1 jadi profesional. Sama dengan J2, sama dengan J3, di mana the middle ground of amateur football clubs need to be slowly upgraded to become semi-pro and then upgraded to become professional. We have two alumni daripada AFL yang how you say that requires MFL to pay attention and be responsible for the development of clubs with AFL, because Kelantan United and Kuching City are two very well organized and operated, managed football clubs. So the graduation of those two allow us to have confidence that the clubs in AFL, if given the right guidance, given the right time, given the right support, will be able to create M2 again as a semi-professional structure. How long will the semi-professional structure last? I cannot answer that now. Based on the progress of time, we will see the industry improve and the club structure improve. So please understand that amateur football, semi-pro football, and professional football is not the status of a contract. It is the practice of a football club. Itu tanggungjawab MFL adalah untuk membimbing klub-klub AFL bersama dengan AFL untuk memastikan posisi semi-pro tu diisi oleh klub-klub AFL dalam masa hadapan.
All right. Now we are going to the live questions sent in via YouTube. Again, thank you so much for that. Now we're going to merge a few together because some of them are kind of similar. Yeah. So the first one is from Fami. What's the reason why the teams have reduced to 16 in 2024? Now, a similar one along that same line is, if the 18-team model seems sustainable or even profitable, is there any possibility that the league will retain at 18 instead of going down to 16?
That's a good question, actually.
Very good. The introduction of the 18-team league comes in the middle of a season. I cannot change the goalposts. It would be unfair to drop teams this year, right? So the 18-team structure is to ensure football fairness for all teams in the Super League and all clubs in the Premier League. But based on the research that we have done, based on the number of match days that we have in Malaysia, based on the fact that we also have regional competitions and also the national agenda objectives of FAM, 16-team league, from the gap between clubs from number 1 to number 18 in this current structure, and also the number of match days that we have in the league, it defines how we utilize those match days in the best possible way. One of the things that we're talking about as well internally is the structure and the format of FA Cup and Malaysia Cup, because this culminates together as our national calendar. Dengan penambahan FA Cup, dengan maybe penstrukturan baru Malaysia Cup, boleh dijadikan penambahbaikan daripada segi kalender kita, daripada segi dua pasukan yang mungkin akan jatuh, itu dijadikan risetkan dalaman MFL untuk pastikan kita ada cukup match day for national team, cukup match day for AFC objective, because bila club nak travel to Vietnam, club nak travel to India for matches next year, JDT, if they win the league this year, they may travel abroad. If Terengganu catches up and they win the FA Cup and they travel abroad for AFC Cup competitions, we also need to make sure we have buffer dates to move calendars as and when we choose. At the moment, an 18-team league ni agak padat. Malaysia is also made up of a blessed number of public holidays. Liga kita tidak sebagaimana Liga 2, mungkin 22 tim Liga pun boleh main. I give you an example. Sometimes we have about 20 over days in the year that we cannot use. Not only national public holidays, but state holidays. There are states that cannot play on Thursday nights as well. There are states that cannot play on certain days. Even after a religious public holiday, kita kena ambil masa 2-3 hari sebelum dapat laksanakan perlawanan seterusnya. So in terms of number of days through public holidays as well, we have about 20 plus days yang kita tak boleh guna dalam kalender. Belum masuk bulan puasa, belum masuk kalender kebangsaan, belum masuk juga kalender AFC, yang kita kena memastikan kita ada kelonggaran dalam kalender to move things as and when we please.
Now, on that note, there was another question from Muhammad Afiq. do the stadiums have the capability to endure the matches for the whole season, especially since some teams are sharing the stadium?
There is no difference because we are not creating new teams. The current system already has FA Cup, Premier League and Malaysia and Super League. There are certain teams that do share stadiums. PDRM shares with KL in Cheras. Selangor shares with PJ City. UITM ground is a single team. Reserve team does not need to play in full-blown stadiums, but maybe smaller mini stadiums. We will create a structure to ensure multiple sharing of stadiums. Kuching City and Sarawak will share the same stadium. On the same day, they will play away. One will play at home. We do understand we are in conversations with Sarawak and Kuching and even in Sabah. This year, MFL took onto us certain conditions that we needed to at the start of the year. Mungkin ramai yang tak tahu, tapi this may be the first time you may be hearing about it. Awal tahun ini, there was a limited number of flights available. Right, in early part of the year, flights were just starting and very expensive, and it can cancel like that, right?
Yes.
So MFL took onto us to help East Malaysia teams participating in the league that when they fly to West Malaysia, to Semenanjung, you will play 2 or 3 games before you go back, right? This is just a cost preservation support to the teams. But that became as an objection because there were some teams saying they play 3 home games or 4 away games back to back. Tetapi itu came on the back of one match postponements in the early parts of the season, but also predominantly the support that we needed to give to Sabah and Sarawak in the operations of the team during that that final stages of the pandemic. So we hope that next year there will be some tolerance for this because we have 3 teams playing in East Malaysia. They are the highest cost teams because of the flights, the multiple flights that they have to take. Tak boleh naik bus, kena naik kapal terbang, and it's predominantly very expensive. We hope that Malaysian football fans and Malaysian football industry understands the context of what we're trying to do. Everybody compares it to Germany ke England ke, but they also don't have 20 over public holidays lah. They also don't have a Sabah trying to fly 2.5 hours to come to KL on the cost of what they are trying to do. So a lot of what MFL has done, maybe we didn't communicate this well enough at the start of the season, and things that we can improve as well. And I will hold my hands up to areas that we can improve. But those are the type of things that we have to take as a league in our domestic context to ensure the longevity of our league.
All right. Now, Stuart, maybe we're going to give you a bit of a break to have a drink club because now we're moving away from the revamp and going into other areas of Malaysian football. So the reason why I said Stuart can have a break is we've got like 5 or 6 questions about this topic. Okay, I'm going to go one by one. Lajak Lari, what can MFL do to improve refereeing quality in the league?
That's interesting.
I know
name. Lajak Lari.
Yeah, that is also very true. Okay,
Lajak
now
Lari,
Zerol is asking any changes regarding the quality of refereeing. Don J is saying, aren't we ready for a professional body for the referees? It goes on and on and on about referees. This is just some of the ones that we've highlighted. So yeah, Stuart, take it away. What do you think about referees?
Thanks. Very sensitive topic. But I have to say I'm in weekly conversations with FAM on this. FAM is aware of the strengths and weaknesses of the match officiating, and I have to say that they have addressed it very well with MFL as an organizing body of the league. We understand if you look at any other league, we may be far away, but if you go to another league, they've got complaints about their referees. Referees never win a football match. Let's always remember that. And they're also human. Part of the restructure of the league is early conversations with FAM in terms of improvement of quantity of referees for next year. Means everybody is a Super League referee. So all Premier League referees become Super League referees next year. And we hope that a lot more relevant content and education is provided to the referees to upscale them. I'm very confident that they are doing that, and they will do that. We've already had conversations about the new content, the new approach that FAM will take with the referees. A lot of it is education. People ask about VAR. I saw a question about VAR. and the technology that can be used to support referees. Normally, the implementation of VAR takes a year plus in terms of not only education of referees in the league, but also the implementation of it through the infrastructure that we have. Unfortunately, our stadia is very old school, so you don't have connectivity. When you go to a full stadium, phone line pun tak ada. So the implementation of VAR it comes with technology, right? Comes with the preparation of the infrastructure, but it also comes with the human element implementing it. If you look at English Premier League, they still measure bulu ketiak. You know, it still
Yes,
becomes
exactly.
an issue,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it is an
VAR
issue.
is
Yeah.
VAR is not a solution. VAR is support. But I have to say, FAM has taken the position to improve the human resource first, and then improving technology. Technology is managed by the man, and the man is the most important element in this. And I support that objective of FAM to ensure that the referees are strengthened and given the best training available. We hope that we can introduce technology within the league in the future. It comes with a very high cost, football fans. It's not a cheap exercise, but it also comes in areas of infrastructure that MFL does not have control of. And a lot of our teams do not have control of those infrastructures as well. So it's a long tail solution that we need. And we hope that we can work through the 2023 season that could see testing and improvement being done in the space that we're all demanding. And I would love to see VAR in our league one day.
I have a question with
Yes,
regards
go
to
on.
PMOM. I know it's not under the jurisdiction of MFL, but have you spoken to FAM to hasten that part of it, to hasten the implementation of PMOM? Because as we all know, in most nations, European nations, most of the referees are pros. They have their own body. So will we see it happening in Malaysia? I mean, we have spoken about it numerous times in the last, let's say, about 3-4 years. So will it come to fruition?
When I was in FAM a year ago, or 9 months ago, the professional referees program was postponed only because of the pandemic. It was supposed to be implemented in 2020. In June 2020 was supposed to be the first appointments of professional referees. It was postponed because the league was cancelled at that time in 2020, and in 2021, obviously resources. It's not a cheap exercise to have professional referees. Professional referees again, it doesn't constitute a status of a referee's contract. It is what the referee does as a professional referee, and all of the restrictions. You cannot travel you got to do this you got to do that. In 2022, it's not as easy. I believe the implementation of that needs to be answered by FAM. I believe they have their eyes on the ball when it comes to this. Vinesh, I think maybe the GS would be the best person to answer that.
But have you spoken to them about that?
Yeah, for sure. But let them tell you what they've got planned.
Okay, expected that answer from you.
So we have another one. Oh my God, that's a profile picture lah. Okay, Farhan Haikal. Selamat petang Farhan. Boleh tak MFL perkenalkan syarat wajib minit permainan kepada kelab yang mempunyai player kebangsaan? Interesting.
Farhan, thanks. Saya di dalam kedudukan pengubahan struktur liga kita daripada mentality FA kepada mentality FC, di mana sekarang ada juga individual club owners that pay the salaries of players, develop the players, develop youth teams. And jikalau kelab tersebut ada pemain kebangsaan tu hari ni, mungkin dia besok tak pemain kebangsaan. Dan juga maybe he's on form or off form, right? The authority and the professionalism must be given to the football clubs. The club, the owner, and the coaches know what's best for the football club. So in that, I give you one simple example. For me, personal opinion, one of the best players in the AFC Asian Cup qualifiers for me was Syamil Kuti, right? And he was excellent, right, for me. And that just food for thought, right? I believe the authority and the know-how is at the professional football club. We are not in that stage anymore to force a football club to do certain things. So we must allow the authority of the football club to make those decisions. And we believe Malaysia has qualified for the Asian Cup for the first time in 40 over years. We have reached the knockout stages of AFC Champions League. Our two clubs have qualified for now the semi-finals of our ASEAN Zone AFC Cup. It's been a tremendous year. So I believe whilst we have problems in Malaysian football, we have successes to fall back on to state that not all, everything is doom and gloom. Kita ada harapan juga. And this year has been a good year for football.
All right. That is very true. It has been a fantastic year.
Yeah, it's been a good year.
Just to be a football fan in Malaysia.
You know what happened? Because he started the armchair.
Yeah. Let's take all the credit we can.
I'm just joking.
We've got another question from a very good friend of the show and an enemy of fake jerseys, because he's brought this up quite a few times. Joshua has asked us, what's your take on people, vendors, businesses selling fake jerseys outside of the stadium? Is MFL doing anything to curb this problem?
Hi, Joshua. MFL doesn't earn $1 from any jersey sale, fake or original. That's the authority of the football club. The fan enters the stadium on the price of the ticket, but the business opportunity is the wallet of the fan, right? So if they can increase the wallet size, the spending size of the fan that has come into the stadium to buy a burger, buy juice, buy a drink, buy a jersey or muffler or cap that is owned by the business of the football club, that's the modernization that is needed in our league. One of the things we see that happening, I think Kedah has implemented K-Delicious. JDT owns all the business revenues in and around the stadium, and they've kept out all fake merchandise. Kedah is also doing the same now. Kelantan is doing the same. I believe in the change of how clubs are required to look at football-based revenues. You've seen that the clubs are now taking a lot more initiative in this space. So I'm confident with the new CEOs that I've met in the league and at the clubs. I believe they are looking at the larger wallet size opportunity of fans. MFL does not have that jurisdiction. The match on match day is organized by the football club themselves. So if Johor is playing Selangor in Johor, the authority in and around that match is JDT's. Same way today, PJ City versus Sabah. PJ City operates that match, and the business opportunity in and around the stadium is PJ City's. So whether they allow or they don't, it's the club to make that decision.
All right. Now, I think on a similar note, not sure whether this applies or not, but Farhan is asking whether we can bring back SWA, flare, bom asap untuk memeriahkan. But he also asks, is this under MFL's scope?
Wait, why bom asap?
Look,
I think this year two teams have been fined. JDT and also Terengganu have been fined by FAM. In that context, mungkin you were not aware of that disciplinary decision. Keputusan itu diambil oleh Jawatan Kuasa Tata Tertib FM. So these are areas of disciplinary proceedings that is taken by FM. So keputusan untuk mendenda JDT dan juga Terengganu adalah keputusan FAM dan telah dilaksanakan tahun ini, dan kita tak boleh. The reason why is not from a environment tapi from a safety position. Disebabkan dalam stadium ni apa-apa boleh berlaku, dan bilanya ada SWA atau bom asap atau apa-apa, is not only the wild fans that need to celebrate this, but it's also the safe and secure environment for ladies, for children, and for other adults in this space. So kita hanya tak boleh tengok daripada segi kemeriahan dalam stadium, tetapi semua I think these items ada bahayanya.
The questions are flooding in. I can hardly keep up. Al Mukmin is asking, what is the projected income MFL will get from the restructuring, and how much teams will get from this? Maybe on a similar thing, we can. From Zero is asking, are we going to have more broadcasters next season because of the?
Thanks. We made the decision. One of the things that I needed to get across in that last meeting, and I'm thankful for the support for all CEOs and football clubs that stood up for the decision that we needed to make, was the mandate to go to negotiate. Because dengan tiadanya keputusan susah untuk saya duduk bersama dengan penaja penyiar baru untuk tahun depan dengan mandate daripada klub-klub Liga Malaysia dengan penerimaan persetujuan baru ni. If I go to the table, we are not talking about RM10, RM20. This is berpuluhan juta. So bila saya ke meja rundingan, saya perlu ada mandate dan saya perlu ada fakta yang membolehkan saya memberi maklumat yang kukuh dan konkret kepada penaja baru atau penyiar baru Liga Malaysia. Di sini saya perlu katakan saya amat berterima kasih kepada sokongan Telekom Malaysia. Daripada tahun-tahun, setiap tahun Telekom Malaysia bersama Bola Sepak Malaysia, terutamanya Liga Malaysia menyokong kita di dalam zaman pandemik, sebelum pandemik, sebelum pandemik, dan ini semua adalah juga kerjasama yang saya ingin teruskan jikalau boleh.
Alright. Now, I think
sorry. How much I'm going to get? I don't know yet.
Yes, how much you're going to get? Yes.
I hope to have that information in due time. But keputusan baru saja dibuat pada hari Rabu. Rundingan akan memerlukan masa. So as soon as I get that figures, the clubs is the people I will share with, and hopefully we will see a better year with the increased number of matches and the quality of the better fixtures.
Has there been interest from broadcasters? Because after the revamp, I'm sure there will be like 34 games, revenue. So has there been any talks with any channels or sports media companies that have expressed their interest and so on?
I cannot confirm nor deny ongoing conversations. But yeah, Abhinesh, I think definitely there's interest. But like I said, I'm always in a position to ensure the best value for Malaysian football, and also the rights of the existing partners are protected always.
Imagine Gary Neville commenting about Malaysian football, Terry Henry or something like that. Sky Sports, Logan.
Why not? We aim for the sky, lah. So yeah, to get the confirmation, you have to follow Avi's Twitter, lah. Okay, now confirm will be coming very soon. So I think unfortunately we have to hit the final live question today. From Nilai, and I guess it's Nilai or Nilai. I'm not sure. Nilai. Okay, all right. So what about the structure of the Malaysian Cup and the FA Cup? You did touch on this briefly just now, but do we need to combine them since we already have many matches in the league?
Depending on the year that we have next year, if the Asian Cup is going to be hosted, the national agenda will take our priority. MFL's value is as well the success of the national team. We hope that the national team agenda is understood by all fans, that Malaysian football requires certain diversions of normalities. Yeah. So what we will look at is the decision being made first by AFC. But also in that A and B potential option calendars, the league season changes for AFC next year. The group stages of AFC Champions League and AFC Cup ends in December, middle of December, which means our football season most likely could also be extended till December if we wanted to. And over the changes of the AFC calendar that now is a European-like calendar, a summer calendar, is also maybe grounds for us to review our current calendar and our current season, because if we continue to operate the January to December calendar, it means that we have a very vague looking pre and post season. So we hope that we'll be able to look at all of this collectively over the next couple of years. We believe that the calendar will always be an area for contention, especially now that AFC has changed their calendar. Will the format of FA Cup and Malaysia Cup be changed? I can almost guarantee yes. But how will the format be delivered next year? I will come back to you. We'll require the board approval at MFL, the sharing, the first and foremost sharing with the clubs. But we aim to allow the utilization of the FA Cup to still allow AFL teams to participate and improve themselves through competitions. We also aim to ensure that the Malaysia Cup is used as a tool for competition within a single league structure. So team number 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 ni ada benda untuk to play for lah, you know. So we aim to allow also a change of our calendar, because the third half of the year, where we used to have the group stage and knockout stage of Malaysia Cup, cannot exist next year, because that is the playing window for AFC Champions League and AFC Cup. At least
This is for
now,
the third
currently, yes, for the third half of next year is a very AFC heavy calendar. So we cannot have a round robin and knockout stage format of the Malaysia Cup like we do now. So we are reviewing that as well to ensure that that can complement. I personally aim to maintain all three competitions. The league is the league. FA Cup ni ada objektifnya sendiri. One is qualification for AFC Cup, but also a system operator that allows participation of amateur and semi-professional clubs and professional clubs to champion for a winner. So a cup always is a sprint to get to it, and anybody can win that. The league is a bit of a stamina. You need to really sustain yourself. And the Malaysia Cup has its own aura, the challenge and the value of the Malaysia Cup. We hope that, I hope that we can maintain that over time. But it is predominantly down to the decision of AFC with the position of the Asian Cup next year. If not, we will review that.
The revamp league, given a timeline, how long do you think it will take for it to be running smoothly? And you mentioned the wound is getting smaller. We as Malaysian fans would like to ask when the wound will get fully healed.
I think Barcelona also has an open wound.
I know that is well publicized.
All Frankie De Jong,
yeah. But they're still signing players left and right. So
I know.
I'm not sure how the ECP is running there.
I would love to see the accountant, actually, honestly speaking.
Yeah. So, but I mean, not needing to reflect on other people's problems. Malaysian football, I think the issue of stability is also a reflection of industry. I believe that will take about 2 years to reach to some form of where the dust settles, and especially after the 16-team league operates for the first year. So we got 18 next year, 16 in the second year. I believe at the end of the second year, we will see some form of stabilizing. In terms of club operations, league operations, broadcast operations, sponsor, understanding of how the entire mechanics is working, I believe it will take us 2 years. Next year is going to be a big challenge in an 18-team league season. It will not all be perfect, but we will do our best. We promise that we will do our best in terms of a league operator to make sure that the onboarding of this entire revamp is taken in the most positive manner. Will there be problems? Most certainly. Haze can come and screw everything up, right? We might not have a pandemic, but we might have the haze that visits us again. You never know. So yeah, so we are always ready, and we hope everybody understands that certain things are out of our control, but whatever is within our control, we do our best to control it next year.
Actually, one more question. I just thought of it. Road clubs. Remember what happened to Perlis? So when this situation arrives, obviously players are going to be affected and so on. With this, revamp and all. I know you're still new in the job, but then people would still ask, club yang tak bayar gaji seli tutup tak buat apa-apa. They don't want that situation to happen again. So what is MFL doing to ensure that situation does not arise again?
In the start of the season, MFL and I were pulled through the mud when it came to the Perak issue. Perak was going through a very, very troubled time. Perak is a fabric of local football, and I always believe they have a tremendous value to add to the value of the league. My biggest concern was to lose Perak in the start of the season. We needed to find a way out. Closing the team does not mean the debts are paid. Does not mean the problem is solved. Actually, we make the problem worse, if you ask me. The right strategy of stick and carrot, we needed to do what we needed to do, so it ended up with the point deduction issues and all that. But then the stallion in the shining armor and XOX came forward and managed to save Perak football from closing and disappearing from our league like Perlis did a few years ago. We hope that the ability of how we've managed the process and the trust that you may now see that the wound of this big has become much smaller. We've avoided clubs closing down where we could, and hopefully as we go along we'll be able to actually get away from the fact that we have an open wound to dealing with scabs. We believe that the stick and carrot approach that we've had over the last few years has worked, and we've got through a pandemic with only minor scratches. So hopefully we next year in the restructure we will see a better year for everyone.
One last question from me, lah. How many sleepless nights you have had? How many days you were in the office, like for 2, 3 days straight, to think about this revamp? How many days of research you have done? I know people will comment, ala tukar je boleh tukar, but we know the work behind the scenes done is quite extensive. Talk us through that
Yeah,
process, lah.
yeah. I mean, it's been a journey, Vinesh. It was a lot of work only because it needed to be substantiated by data and facts. Yeah, comparisons of a number of foreign players, for example, in Saudi who have just qualified for a World Cup, won the under-23, not let in a single goal, and they have 8 foreigners playing on the field in their league. To the execution of semi-professional football, the bravery of conversion to a single league structure that requires a hard reset to the system. I'm thankful. I'm supported by a very strong secretariat in my COO Shazli, my commercial head Winnie, and competitions heads Haris and Desmond. The credit really goes to all these people. They are the ones that work tirelessly with me, supported by a president and a board that was brave to believe in the direction of the secretariat, to support it the way they did. Very thankful to the president and also Dato' Amidin in FAM, who has really not stood in the way of this change, which everybody could. So it was sleepless nights, I have to say. It took months. You know how far back we went with this, and we got through all the red tape, all the required red tape to get to this point. I'm glad to be here, but I'm also nervous to be here. I mean, now the decision is made. We've stuck our neck out, right? So I'm proud that I have a team that stood behind me and supported the change, and I'm going to stand behind them now in the delivery of this league format next year.
Stuart, I think someone doesn't get to the position you have, and someone doesn't do the work you do without being a really big football fan lah. We've asked you a lot of serious questions about the future of Malaysian football and all the thing, but now we want to ask you about being a fan of football. So this is the rapid fire section. Very short answers, a short explanation, but fun questions about football and being a football fan. All right, I'm gonna kick you off with a very, very simple one. Who's your favorite player of all time?
Zinedine Zidane.
Oh, what a choice! Love the choice. Yes. Any particular reason why? Is any reason needed?
I love creative footballers. So Baggio, a Liverpool fan. So maybe one of your quick fire questions was a Liverpool fan, and I have a very strange Peter Beardsley was my first creative footballer that I like. Not many people know him nor appreciated him. I just thought he was a bit of a ballerina on the ball. And after that, Baggio, Zidane, Iniesta. So those are the type of players that I really enjoy watching.
I've heard stories of Beardsley. A lot of my former editors used to gush about him actually.
Yes,
I watched YouTube clips of him. Really good.
I'm that old, Avinash. I'm that old.
I think I managed to catch him when he was at Newcastle. I think a bit later on.
Yes,
Even
later on,
point,
correct.
Yeah, at that point he was fantastic as well. So maybe we've spoiled this question, but who's the most underrated player for you? Is it Beardsley?
Iniesta.
Iniesta.
Okay. I think he's a legend, man. I mean, you watch him play and you're just in awe of the vision and the ability of the guy. So Iniesta for me, tremendously undervalued. Won the World Cup for Spain, but never really built a trophy for him yet, right?
Yeah. I mean,
That's already
they
a
should have a
statue for him. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Who knows? They might actually introduce a trophy under his guise or something.
Exactly.
Right. Who's a player you would hate to play against if you were
Oh,
a football?
I had this Desai and Ings, these hard-boned defensive midfielders. I guess those were the ones that I would hate to play against. When I used to play, I was a centre midfielder as well. So coming up against people like that, you got to watch your legs, man.
So just to confirm, you meant Paul Ince, not Danny Ings, huh?
No, Paul Ings.
Okay. Just
You heard Ings as well. Actually, I was about to ask. Paul Ings.
No. Pauline's another legend. Okay, so this part is we are gonna ask you, who do you cheer for in these global derbies, lah? All right. So the first one is Man United Liverpool. I think we don't need to ask that, but as if Liverpool need any more support right now.
Yeah.
I'm a Man United fan, if you haven't guessed. Okay. Too bad.
Hey, you guys should be happy. You guys won the Bangkok Century Cup, okay?
Exactly. We're gonna take that. We're gonna go at the end of the season. So sorry. Yes. Okay. Inter versus AC Milan. Who do you cheer for?
AC.
All right. Any reason why?
The Rijkaard, Van Basten, and Gullit era.
Okay. Very good. Yeah. All right. Arsenal versus Spurs.
Oh my God. The referee. I would, probably Spurs.
Okay, yeah, I think a lot of people have Spurs as their second team. They're quite harmless in that sense. All right. Real versus Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Okay, all right. Rangers versus Celtic.
Rangers.
Okay, any reason why Rangers?
Steven Gerrard, coach.
I knew it.
I knew it was going to say that.
Okay, we're going to ask you to look into your crystal ball here. Who's going to win the World Cup and who is going to be the best player?
I don't know. France looks impressive still.
Yeah.
They look like a football team compared to everybody else.
To be fair, they look like 3 football teams. The depth is quite scary.
Yeah. And talented youngsters, man. Really talented youngsters. I just hope it doesn't get to their head. I mean, they've just won it. And I mean, it's not easy to do the double. And it's always been a bit of a jinx, right? After winning, you normally get knocked out in group stage and so on. So I hope it doesn't happen to them because they look impressive, man.
Right. And who's going to be the standout player for you?
This World Cup, I'm not too sure. Probably Mbappe again, but I wouldn't know. I mean, I have no favorites. There's no Iniesta in this, right? So there's not many of those players anymore. So anyway, let's see.
Okay, so the final one. I don't know if you can answer this legally. Who's your favorite Malaysian player of all time? You are the MFL CEO.
Azizul Abu Harani.
Who? Azizul Abu
Perak
Hanifa.
player.
Azizul Abu Hanifa. He is the man.
Classy
player. Yes, one of the best playmakers I've ever watched.
Yes.
Watched him in Ipoh. Class.
So yes, he was probably amongst those in their prime that I've enjoyed watching is Shafiq Rahim as well. I think he's cut from a very, very fine competitive cloth. In his prime, he's also such a dominant player.
Yeah. All right. Now that wraps up Rapid Fire. That wraps up today's show. We've gone almost 90 minutes with Stuart. I think it was a fantastic show. Thank you so much for coming on. Really, so much of information. We had a lot of fun. Would you be willing to come back again?
Sure, man. Let's schedule something in towards the end of the season and towards the curtain raiser. I'm sure everybody wants to know then how the dust has settled from the news of Wednesday, the preparation for the new league season. And by that time, we will know when the Asian Cup is going to be held. probably a lot more information for us to have a debate about how 2023 is going to pan out.
So we'll
Right.
debate about 2023, and then we go to the World Cup. My God, end of the day is going to be jam-packed, man.
Yeah.
It's always busy on the armchair, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there you go. There you go. All right, guys. To everyone who's watching, thank you so much. Once again, thank you to our fantastic guest, Stuart. Thank you as well to the Glass Duty for being our first and only sponsor so far. But it's open for more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all that's left is for us to say good night. Thank you once again for watching. Good night, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you guys. Thank you
Bye.
everyone.
Thank
Good night.
you.